Alternatively, various studies have suggested that one could consider a slightly weaker commitment. That is at least a statement of intention to improve human rights performance and possibly to ratify certain treaties. That might be a fallback position that should be explored. Now, I want to emphasize that one of the central problems, in my view, with the Commission's work, as opposed to the Commission, is a lack of resources. The Secretary General has, of course, made human rights a priority for the UN system, consistently. But you wouldn't know that from the allocation of funds. The Office of the High Commissioner is grossly underfunded to do what it is asked to do, currently representing roughly between 1.5 and 2% of the UN budget. According to this year's request for voluntary contributions from member states, the United Nations regular budget currently funds 1/3 of the cost of the Office of the High Commission. 1/3. So the base budget needs to be enhanced, and in the meantime, more voluntary contributions are urgently required. Now, there are two procedural reforms that were not discussed by the high-level panel that I think would be useful to explore. I think that non-governmental organizations bear some responsibility for an unduly charged political atmosphere at the Commission. And I say this because I think that there's a tendency to turn every agenda item into a country debate. This is bound to increase tensions and, I think, to discourage cooperation. I would like to suggest that perhaps we should put less emphasis on country resolutions that have little impact and which simply poison discussions. Now, I'm not suggesting that we eliminate the possibility of country resolutions. I think they're important for truly egregious situations. But it might be that if we put less emphasis on them, there would be less of a tendency for states to try to move agenda items from item 9, countries, to item 19, technical cooperation, which is a pattern that we have seen. Secondly, in terms of procedural reform, I think that there's much too much attention being given and requests being made for reports from the Secretary General and the Office of the High Commissioner. I think that this is largely a misuse of time and resources, because most of these reports do not result in any action. I want to conclude with some observations about two very bad ideas, in my view, contained in the high-level panel report. The first is the proposed creation of an advisory council of so-called experts to the Commission. I think that this would accomplish very little. The subcommission is already a relatively ineffective body that has little discernible influence on the promotion or protection of human rights. Jacking up the subcommission to an advisory council would not address the fundamental problem, which is, as I said, that the Commission is a political body that will not defer to expertise. In any event, there's already a wealth of expertise available to the Commission. It now hears regularly from special rapporteurs, thematic and country-focused, and I think that this invention of interactive dialogues could allow for more discussion and education around key issues. This process needs to be bolstered and given more prominence. So I would recommend against creating more jobs for the boys on advisory councils, and I say with respect that they are mostly boys. Instead, I would spend money in the field, not on more trips to Geneva. In my view, the worst idea in the high-level panel report is the expansion of the Commission to universal membership. I think that this resulted purely because the high-level panel could not agree on any other option. But when you read the high-level panel report in relation to the General Assembly, all of the critiques that it offers for the General Assembly, which in my view are very persuasive, would apply in spades to a universal human rights commission. I think it would ensure more regional groupings, more intensely present and mobilized. It would allow states to jam the agenda, and it would require more time for talking and less for work. So I would continue to try to fight for criteria, albeit weak criteria, for membership. I'm delighted, by the way, with the proposals of the Secretary General that he will deliver to the Millennium Summit this fall, where he supports the idea of a smaller Human Rights Council with members elected by 2/3 majority of the General Assembly. I think this is a much better way forward than universal membership for the Commission. Finally, I think that we have to work hard to articulate realistic assessments of what the United Nations itself can accomplish in the area of human rights. If we claim too much for the United Nations, I think we risk disillusion. We also offer up false hope to suffering people. I see that as both a strategic and a moral failing. Thank you.